My name is Muriel Cartwright. I'm the creative director at Lab Zero Games.
So, talk about what Lab Zoo is showing here at PAX West.
So we are showing our game Indivisible, which we've been working on for about 4 years now. It was initially a Indiegogo, like a crowdfunded game, and we partnered with publisher 505 to kind of fill out the development budget. So we've been working on that for the past 4 years, and it's finally coming out on October 8th. It'll be for PS4, Xbox, and Steam initially, and then a little later down the line will be for Switch.
So talk a little about like your crowdfunding was really successful. How do you feel about crowdfunding in general for gaming, and what has it opened up for your team before you were partnered with 505?
So we've had experience crowdfunding before. We did it to fund DLC characters on Skullgirls. It's interesting. I have kind of like mixed feelings about it because I think it's a really wonderful opportunity for devs that can't otherwise find funding to be able to create their projects. But I feel like in the past few years the landscape has changed a little bit, where it's definitely become harder. I think people are maybe realizing the realities of like how much games really cost, and it's not cheap. And so I feel like it is becoming a little harder for games to find funding, and so I think people are kind of going back to this publisher route. But I still think, if you can make a budget that works for you, that people are willing to fund, it's a really great opportunity to create projects that wouldn't otherwise be made.
I almost feel that in certain conditions, gaming studios use Kickstarter to show a publisher that there's interest.
Right. Yeah, that's how it was with us. We partnered with 505 on the condition that if we were able to raise the money on Indiegogo, then they would pitch in the rest of the budget.
So for people who don't know what Indivisible is, kind of give a sense about it. It's an RPG, a really cool RPG.
Yeah. So it's kind of a hybrid, like RPG Metroidvania. We have like engaging with enemies is kind of like this RPG style, like turn-based fighting. And then traversal in the world is kind of like a Metroidvania, so you have different abilities, you go through and explore this huge map, and you kind of like unlock new doors, and you kind of backtrack a little bit. So we kind of like mash the two together, and that's what Indivisible is.
But at the same time though, your combat, it's turn-based, but it feels more like a fighting game than a turn-based RPG.
Yeah, it definitely does. I think it's very active, it's very responsive, and I feel like that's kind of one of our specialties as a studio, is like this very like active game feel. But when you play, it is kind of like we encourage you to combo and like knock up your enemies and like juggle them. So it is kind of fighting gamey in the way you actually attack your enemies.
Some inspirations for your character designs, because they're really unique and over the top and just fun.
Inspirations come from anywhere, whether it's something we watch, or we're kind of like researching some old weird mythology, or we kind of draw from everywhere, and I think maybe that's what makes us a little unique. Like, we're not kind of just being like, oh, I love that anime, we're going to copy that anime. We draw from a lot of different sources.
So what are some of the challenges when developing, like we were just talking about this earlier, a sprite, pixel-based game or a 2D game, as opposed to a fully 3D rendered game?
For us, I think we'll always do these 2D games because I think, as animators, we love kind of injecting this hand-drawn like personality into it, but it does come with its limitations. Like, if we wanted to do alternate outfits for a character, we can't really do that unless we kind of redo a bunch of work. In 3D, you're able to do like, you could do texture swaps, you can just do like model swaps using the same rig. There's a lot more opportunity that 3D affords you. But I think for what we do, we're all animators, we're all illustrators, and so I think we really love just kind of like the craftsmanship that goes into 2D animation.
I remember the first time I played like a really high-def sprite game. I'm like, it's like playing a cartoon, and that's kind of what your game is like. I'm literally watching an animated cartoon.
Right. Yeah, I think so. Like, we definitely have a lot of fun with it. Like, we'll sneak in weird expressions on like certain frames and just kind of go goofy with it. So it's a lot of fun.
What's been the biggest challenge for you personally to make this game a reality?
I've had to really expand what I do on the project because I was the lead animator on Skullgirls, and for that project I was animating, I was managing our contractors, kind of doing quality check on all the animation in general. But on Indivisible, it's kind of weird. I started as lead animator and art director at the same time, Then a little bit down the line, as we started developing the story, I became the head of story, so someone was in charge of that. And then now that's too many things, so I'm just the creative director. So on Indivisible, I've kind of had a part in like almost everything except programming. So even when it comes to like sound design, I was part of like the VO sessions, making sure the story and the art and the level design and just the gameplay all mesh together. I was really spread thin on this project, and I think, it's a great opportunity for me because I like being involved in so many different disciplines, but at the same time, it was a learning curve for sure.
For people who want to get involved in video games, especially as an animator or an artist, like what would you suggest they do? Where would they start?
I would say post your stuff online. Like, I think that's kind of how I got started. I was posting my work on just a blog I had with my friends, and I got noticed by some people in the industry. Twitter is a really great place to just kind of share your work with a lot of people. I would say just kind of keep doing it. You'll start getting some small little opportunities, some freelance jobs, and hopefully, you'll kind of keep the ball rolling from there.
Do you think we'll see a return of more? We're seeing, pixel art, roguelike games make a return. Do you think we'll see a return of more 2D, almost animation-like games in the future?
I definitely think so. I think we're seeing a lot of it already. Just kind of a lot more like hand animated, kind of like old school looking games. I think there's a fair amount of that at the show right now. So I think in the future we'll just, it seems like the environment is a lot more open to just like different art styles, and I think because of that, like 2D animation is definitely coming back.
Game's coming out in October. Are you finally excited for people to actually get a full release and play it?
Yes, I'm very ready. I'm so tired, and I want it to come out, and I want people to like experience it, and then I'm going to go to sleep for a really long time.
So my next question was like going to be, what are you going to do after it comes out?
Sleep. Yeah, sleep, and then get the ball rolling on the next project. So,
What do you have an idea what the next project is? Maybe a Skullgirls 2?
Can't say. We have ideas. We're kind of pitching around and just developing different IPs. We're always open to revisiting stuff that we've already done. Doing in the vein of like sequels or DLC. But I can't say either way for sure.